light. Voices for the voiceless will ignite the light. Behind those walls, a silent plea. Children's laughter replaced by a memory. Wrongly torn apart from their kin. Stand for the ones who need strength within. When the system fails, when trust is betrayed, we'll rise up now. We won't be dismayed. We'll seek accountability. We'll fight for the truth and shield the innocence, the heart of our youth. We are the voices for the voiceless, for the children lost in the night. We call for change, we demand justice. Shine a light, bring truth to the fight. Together we'll stand, together we'll shout. No more abuse, we'll turn it about. With kinship and love, we'll make things right. Voices for the voiceless will ignite the light. President Trump, hear our cry. Must we need your hand to fly? Families reunited, let's heal this land. Together we'll rise, together we'll stand. We are the voices for the voiceless, for the children lost in the night. We call for change, we demand justice. Shine a light, bring truth to the fight. Together we'll stand, together we'll shout. No more abuse, we'll turn it about. With kinship and love, we'll make things right. Voices for the voiceless will ignite the light. So hear us now, we're taking a stand for every child in this promised land. No more whispers, we'll raise our voice. Together united, we'll make the choice. Voices for the voiceless, hear us today. We're changing the world, we're paving the way.
Have seen senators beg. They are begging for information from the Children's Services. So I'm going to tell you more about that right now, but I just remembered I asked Terry to come up and do a prayer. But that was test, test, test. Okay, we can begin now. Thank you.
All right. You know what? Don't close your eyes. Keep your eyes open. Because God said He's came to give sight to the blind and to set the captives free. So open your eyes, and we declare right now that there will be an opening of the eyes in Washington, D.C. and in America. And we say that right now, we are saying, set the captives free. Jesus, you came to set the captives free. And that means all the children in bondage, in child protective services, in foster care, in Hollywood, and in the trafficking industry. And Lord, like Moses said, let my people go.
Yeah.
Let my people go. In the name of Jesus, set the captives free. No more of this tyranny of taking our children and stealing children and using them for trafficking and for blackmail and for medical experimentation. Holy Spirit, we need you. We need revival. We need you to open the eyes and set the captives free and break every chain. And for everyone who gets free of the physical bondage, Lord, we ask that you would set them free from the mental and spiritual bondage that they have been put under. And we say, set every captive free in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Woo-hoo! Thank you, Terry. Now, I would like to encourage all quality people to run for Congress. So this sign here was from 2015 when I first came to DC. Oh, sorry. Got it. Thank you, Brian. The little voice in the back. I'll just come in over here anyway. So during this time, I had no flippant idea what was going on in 2015. I knew there was a big problem. I knew there was a lot of lying going on, implanting evidence going on, medical kidnap going on. I was a nurse, and for the first time ever, they started taking babies from the postpartum away from their moms. And they were only doing it in the poor hospitals. And I couldn't figure out what it was. Then Facebook helped because I met people from every single state in the nation, and we all had the exact same problem. That told me it was not state, it was federal. So I came to DC, and it has taken really 10 years to get the information on how things actually work. And let me tell you, the senators' legislative aides don't know. Connie's not here, but we go to a lot of meetings together, and Connie will go, Title 4B, blah, 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 and they'll nod. And then she'll go, oh, and Title 4E, blah, 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 and they nod. And it's really important to get these straight, because one is an entitlement where you have to be poor or disabled in order to get into foster care, and Title 4B is services to reunite. Right? So it's really important. I mean, they're two opposite things. So when Connie's done, I've taken to asking the legislative aides to explain Title 4B to me, please. They didn't know. They don't know what Title 4 is. They don't know how the money that they're in charge of is distributed. I've literally taken to give the legislative aides a lesson in the power of the purse and how Social Security funding works, because they don't know. Now let's talk about audits. Do you know that the federal government has never been audited, ever? The reason is because our founding fathers set it up to where everybody had an equal piece of the pie that was being distributed from the federal government to whatever it's being distributed to. So every single one of the senators have a quarter of the pie of whatever's being spent, right? Now, I've gotten there so many times, I know for a fact that you can change a part of the funding, like 25% of it. We wrote the Family First Act, signed by Donald Trump. We can get things done. But the reason that the federal government has not been audited is because, and this is a quote from Elon Musk, the computers don't talk to each other. Title 4 is so bad, it has not even slightly been updated since the computer system. Most social workers are still writing notes by hand. Can you imagine that? Hand. So every single state has a different definition of a child. Every single state has a different definition of abuse and neglect. There is no way. It's like speaking Arabic, Italian, and American and say, do an audit. They can't talk to each other. There's absolutely no way to do it. And we have been working on this now, and some friends have gone with me to see Patty Murray and Bernie Sanders and all kinds of folks now for 6 months before Trump was even in office. Elon Musk has now identified that the computer's inability to talk to one another is the #1 cause of fraud and abuse in the federal government. And he found out that with AI. We found that by 16 years of asking questions, right? So we have gone to, the most active person with this issue was Senator Wyden's aide, and Becca and I had identified that the coding needed to be like together, unified, centralized, so that we can like be able to talk and figure out what's going on. We cannot even audit. Can't even do that. But she went on maternity leave, so she's back now, so I'm gonna be checking her out again and trying to go forward with this. Now, why is it so important for things to be coded? Well, let me give you an example. Social Security has 27 titles, and there's about 10 that are left. I know for a fact that Medicare is one title, and Medicaid is another title, and they can talk to each other. They can find fraud. They can find abuse. You can look it up and find out exactly how many people are in the hospital that are covered by Medicare and Medicaid every single day. They have a continual flow of information and population, okay? That's because they use the International Code of Diagnostics, and that is a worldwide coding system for anything, really, that has to do with service that ties the billing to the action to the person, okay? But Title IV doesn't have anything like that. Every single state is different. I mean, 50 times 50 is what? You know, there's that many codes in multiplying. There's no way as a researcher, and I am a nursing researcher, to get any data. So back to being over there, seeing my friend, the senators. They know it's a problem. In the year 2000, before the year 2000, did you guys know there was no sex-trafficked children? And why was that? Before the year of 2000, they were prostitute children. They were arrested by the FBI, and they were prosecuted. These are children without their parents, primarily foster children. They didn't know that at the time. Now we do. These children were taken that were being in sex trafficking rings by the FBI, and all of them put in prison. Congress had to actually make a law. I had got here in 2016, and Congress had to make a law in the year 2000 that defined a child under the age of 18 who's caught in a sex trafficking ring is sex trafficked, not a prostitute. And I did a deep, deep search, and there's lots of children who have been arrested and prosecuted at this. I couldn't find any perpetrators arrested. 3 in 10 years. That's all I could find. So apparently they were arresting the children, but not the people who are causing this. So we have Senator Wyden asking the Health and Human Services for how many children they are, and they're literally ignoring him. Literally. I've seen him ask and ask and ask and re-ask just for simple data like how many children are there? And the bureaucracy of Children's Services lady will not give it to him. What has happened is that we have funded our bureaucracies to be very lawyer heavy, right? Every single one of the Senate people over there have a small team of lawyers for their small piece of the pie, but the bottom line is they have the power of the purse, and what they've done is they reached into the purse, gave the bureaucracies a huge weapon in the form of lawyers and funding the lawyers, and now the bureaucracies have more power because they have the legal power to go and stop things that the individual senators are trying to do. So they can't find the information, the basic information that we need to find these children. After the year 2000, that is when the U.S. Marshals, who are frickin' heroes, started getting involved. And they were the ones, and you can look this up, that finally started taking the data to see who these sex-trafficked children were. And they found out something absolutely horrifying. They were foster children. 60 to 90% of all children found in sex trafficking raids in the United States of America are foster children, and that's statistically impossible to happen. Okay? But the U.S. Marshals started taking data, and they published it. Just look up U.S. Marshals, and they've been doing it since 2000. And they have been, like, giving them resources, and we've been passing laws to actually treat them. There's no funds for these kids, and they're scared to death because there's a reason they ran away in the first place, and now they're put back in the same situation. So we need to do a little follow-through for trauma and healing and restoration, and really my idea is that because of the funding issue, which is that it's set up in a way to where they have a certain number of children in a county office in order to get paid. If they, let's say hypothetically, they had 40 children under 4 parents, okay? And those 4 parents miraculously got well did some drug testing and, whatever it was wrong, they were absolutely fine because they did a good job, and they discharged all of those foster children, that office would have to close. They are only paid by head count. So if they don't keep a steady, stable number of children in the office, they don't get paid from the federal government. Then they have to rely on the state's money, and they don't like that. They don't like to spend their own money. Federal dollars is big, 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 big dollars. And those are the funds that they want. So every single thing that ever goes wrong, just think of how the money flows, and you will know what their next move is going to be, because they will always go do the whatever activity will give them the most dollars. So, excuse me, because of the coding issues with that, Elon Musk has recently identified, we are now being able to code things better, and we're going to be able to find all of those missing children that the marshal's office have found to be sex trafficked. We're going to find them. It's a matter of time. Applause! They're going to fight it tooth and nail because they do not want to be coded. They have absolutely no intention of being coded, and they want to keep it the way it is because there is so much missing children. Right now, the number one missing children state issue is that they don't code the same. So when one child goes to another state, they lose them. And that was the majority of sex trafficked children that they were finding. And then, of course, Josh Hawley, Title IV, is also in charge of the migrant children. And Senator Josh Hawley has done reports about how there's hundreds of thousands of migrant children that they don't have any idea where they are. None. Senator Ossoff, who is wonderful, recently reported in his home state that there was over 1,000 missing foster children, and 60% of them were being trafficked out of state. Senator Ossoff was the very first senator to actually get the data from the bureaucracy. First one ever. Even Senator Hatch, that wrote the Family First Act, and Senator Wyden back there couldn't get any data. They did it on personal testimony, which is why it's so important. That's why we get you guys here and we tell your stories. It was only personal testimony that got the Family First Act passed. It was called No Place to Grow Up, and there was a gal who was a prostitute who was a foster child, and she explained exactly how it happened. But still, the bureaucracy was so powerful and so corrupt because of all of the missing children, and they don't want to be responsible for it. Gosh, their state might have to pay, and they don't have the money, and they'll lose their job. And I could just go on and on and on, but the social workers are scared because they have an unstable funding source, which is super simple to fix, by the way. None of the offices around here require them to go and gather a certain amount of children away from their parents in order to survive. They just need to do it not per head count bonus, but per capita. So there's 10,000 people, there's 5 social workers. Then they have steady, stable stream of money, and actually then they're motivated to reduce their workforce and get rid of the kids. That's, it's just simple. All we have to do is change the funding source so that these social workers are not having to go out and get a certain amount of children. And I'm going to tell you about that one more time, too. In order to have federal funding given to the state, they have to qualify for Title IV-E or be disabled. Those are the two things you have to have. Title IV-E is an entitlement. And what an entitlement means is that you have to be entitled to it. And the definition of entitlement is that your parent has to be on TANF, food stamps, poor. So children have to be poor or disabled in order for these states to be reimbursed federal dollars, period. I was actually working with that. Rebecca from Senator Wyden's office was horrified. She did not know that. I had to actually pull it up in the federal records and show her that that was one of the requirements. She was horrified. She should be horrified. I'm trying to think what else I need to tell y'all. So anyway, the U.S. Marshals need funding because they're doing a good job. Oh, there is one other thing, and this is kind of a Doge-related thing and why we actually need to go through the statistics and compare the money that's being given to the actions that are being done. Foster children who are missing are receiving millions and millions and millions of dollars for primarily two sources of looking for them: Amber Alerts and facial recognition technology. There was recently, with Senator Ossoff and the head of an FBI, addressing down because the HHS foster care money is paying the FBI millions and millions and millions of dollars in the states to look for missing foster children. So what they've been doing is they've been funding Amber Alerts. And then he asked him how many children were found by an Amber Alert, how many foster children. And the answer was, as far as he knew, 0. Why? Why hadn't an Amber Alert found any foster children? And it is because foster children usually run away. Amber Alert only does kidnapping. Let me say that again. Foster children who they were paid to find, an Amber Alert will not look for, by definition. Again, another super easy thing. We would have found a lot more foster children if they changed the freaking requirements for an Amber Alert. Why are we paying them this money and they're not doing it? Nobody's saying nothing about it. There was actually a judicial investigation into that too. So that's the one thing. The other real big millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of funding that's going out in absolute vain for these children is the facial recognition. My friend Laura over there recently did a thesis on missing foster children. 90% of foster children or more do not come with the report with a photograph. And I'm not very good at technology, but I think it's pretty logical that you have to have a photograph in order to use facial recognition technology. So this seems kind of, it's so doomed to fail in so many levels, because we can't find the kids, we can't hold the states accountable because of the assumed immunity that they have had for all the years. It's been proven that they are not immune from lying and planting evidence in people's cases now, but that was standard of practice before the FFP case, which is 9th Federal District case number 15-5563. Look it up. You'll be horrified, quote unquote, from the judge. It was the first case that actually rose out of the state. Now, again, states are getting the money. States are causing the problem. States are losing the children, right? So they don't want any coding. And they don't want anybody to win in court. And what they do, the Verican case, which was formerly Miss California, who was Verican, versus Hardwick, they won't let you win. And I think people have sued here that I know and know that they won't let you in. This was the first case that actually made it to the federal level, and it was recorded. And it's horrible. That little DA social worker was saying, well, Your Honor, we have the right to lie because of hearsay. And, hearsay is allowed in the family court, but, we know that the standards are higher, in a criminal court. And basically what her defense was is that the social workers then and always had the right to lie and plant evidence that was completely fake in order to take children. First time. That was actually, I took a tiny clip of that, and I took that to every single one of the senators out there. And boy, did it work. That really was the helper for the Family First Act. So God works in mysterious ways. I've got one more thing to do. Laura, there was a mother who wanted to come really bad, and she is caught up in the systems, folks. She can't come. She can't leave her state. They're going to call her for drug testing, which she's never had a positive drug test ever, at a moment's notice. So she just cannot be able to come out here. So I'm going to read a statement for her. Sorry, I'm technically inept. I'm so sorry. Okay, it's under messages. Oh, got it. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. This is a mom who I have known almost since her children were born. As I look around, I see an enormous amount of people who have gotten their children back because we have the resources to do it. But I'm going to tell you right now, because of that poverty clause, the great majority of people who have their children removed don't get them back. They have no legal resources. There is no way to fight a monster that you can't even identify. And so she's stuck in that horrible loop right now with her two beautiful babies. My name is Alexis Kramer, born and raised in Minnesota. I am a singer, songwriter, activist, mother, and neurodivergent like my two babies. This is my testimony. I'm a dedicated mother whose heart and soul is pure. I fear the wrath of God when there is no community healing. We have powerful voices when we share our truths. We are sick of the oppression that the system has put us through. Our hearts go heavy for the damage they caused to our families. We need to gather our friends and legislators and get ready for the system that will no longer abuse the system as they did. They will hear us roar.
They get their children taken to domestic violence. Then they lose their housing and become homeless with no voucher and no income. What are we supposed to do to help them? We cannot leave them hanging no matter what. System needs to listen to what the people want. The eviction moratorium has ended. What has the system done to everyone? Shut us down and lock us up. We need to prevent them from doing this to us. Oh no, what have they done? We need to come together as one. They are making it seem like our children are forever lost, forever lost. We will not stop fighting for justice. We will keep fighting for each other. Our families will not be forever lost. They are in our hearts. Take 2 steps for the 3rd time. We don't know who we can rely on. No, it's difficult to not know when the racism will even go. We got this, we stand tall, and we must be very proud through it all. We have advocated for others this long. Now we got to fight and be strong. With no voucher, with no income, what are we supposed to do to help them? We cannot leave them hanging no matter what. System needs to listen to what the people want. The eviction moratorium has ended. What has the system done to everyone? Shut us down and lock us up. We need to prevent them from doing this to us. together as one. Real thinking it seems like our children are forever lost, forever lost. We will not stop fighting for justice. We will keep fighting for each other. Our families will not be forever lost. They are in our hearts.
Well, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Kathleen. And the education and the immense amount of knowledge that Kathleen has amassed to be able to stand here with no notes and instruct us all in everything that's going on. It's incredible. Thank you so much, Kathleen, and for this wonderful rally. Everyone listening and watching this, we're sorry you can't be here. We hope you plan to come next year because it's a very powerful thing. We have people here from all aspects, all walks of what is happening. Multiples, parents, grandparents, and we have children that have gone through the system, been abused by sex trafficking. And it's a God thing that we all come together to celebrate healing and to shed some light in the darkness. So, in the name of doing that, I would like to introduce hashtag Operation 1009.
You're awesome. This lady is so cool, y'all. I'm serious.
You want that one over there?
I showed up to this place feeling the devil all around me, but there's God in every one of you. So I appreciate you being here in his lair, because that's what this is. You're welcome to the Jones Plantation. The song we're going to play is number one, man. It's just called Save Our Children. It's featuring a couple of rap artists like Afro Man and K Reno. They're real well known in the world I'm in. And we got together and wrote a song for the kids with my brother AJ, who actually got lymphoma in the middle of it all and died. God bless his soul. But we hit number one recently on this, on Amazon, and number 14 on iTunes, and number 29 on Canada Top Daily. But they're not here to sing it with me, so I'm just going to play it. It's going to be like a listening party, you know what I'm saying? But you're welcome to check it out. The original song has the evidence of us removing teachers from school, specifically one named Vanessa Chapa, who was attempting to groom one of my daughter's friends, along a list of 6 other pedophiles from Comal County School District there that all got caught in 1 year raping kids. It's a whole real problem where I'm at. But we've been talking about this for a long time, and this is just one angle. So if you will, press play, if you can hear me in the background. My guy, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you're good. I'm not much of a public speaker. I did go through some shit when I was a kid, though, you know what I mean? I think we all do. Well, I call it God's training course. We were talking about that. You know, it's like God knows exactly what he's doing, and when you allow yourself to walk through that fire, ain't nobody can put you out but yourself. And if you realize that you're a fire, you can light other people. It's like a match. It only takes one to light it all. And you guys are here to rebuild the table that we're doing this on, because this needs to be destroyed and broken from within. This whole situation, the word government. Let's break down the word government. Etymology, govern means to control, meant, and the prefixes of the mind, the mentality of the suffixes of the foundation, the cement, right? In French, it means lies, multiple, plural lies. The word government means control, mind, multiple lies. Why would we ever vote for that? Now, we do need people up here like this superhero that just walked away. That one actually had me crying, actually. It makes me feel like I'm not alone. You guys make me feel like I'm not alone. Like, I'm so serious. That's the crazy part. I'm just waiting on dude to press play. All right.
Let's disconnect the truth from the rumors, and then protect the youth from the groomers. Your coworker was doing the most wretched maneuvers. You didn't think it was true till the cops checked his computer. Then woo, whoa, this dude is evil and super cold. Pictures of children from adolescents to 2-year-olds, staying aware at the sources where it all starts. But you don't care till they snatch yours out of Walmart. Your daughter got violated, now she thinking you failed her, and kept it to herself cause she too embarrassed to tell you. Her verdict stepdaddy been clapping her bra, and her mama can't make it right cause the same happened to her. They do the nastiest stuff, they can't traffic enough. Pastor and teacher are no longer names that you can trust. Our babies are cool, so we don't keep them around you. Stomping any fool in a van creeping around schools.
He wants me to do this, but it's a listening party in this song. The next one, we're going to do real music. This is just to make you think. I don't even listen to rap music. It's just a catalyst to reach the people that need to hear it. Because if this would have been playing in the boot camp I was raped in foster care, then maybe I might would have taught before I was 27.
I don't wanna see it, to believe it. I'd have to face these demons till it's on the news and telling me it happened through the weekend and it's all okay. It's isolated, it's just a single teacher and the kid he probably had a problem. She was trying to teach him through this world's gotten crazy. Times have gotten difficult. What used to be called rape is taking on a whole new principle. These pedophiles and predators found their way into our schools. I'm looking at the damage done, just wondering how is this cool? I always celebrating kids breaking all the rules. I understand fighting back cause this is what I do, but we got a responsibility to lead and choose with the best of all intentions for the direction of our youth. And the way that things are going, something really gotta change. It's obvious the kids who are on screw now lead the way. The situation's sensitive, it's time to feel the pain. When I tell you save our children, I mean every word I say.
Our next guy coming up is Afro Man. I know you probably remember because I got high. Yeah, this dude cares about the kids too. We all do. I ain't never met no man from the hood that wouldn't step up for a kid unless he was about to get stomped. Just saying. I need that BLM energy for these kids, bro.
When you say sex trafficking, I stare at you because you trafficked every black person living in America. Police fucking kids underage, then they raid your house and steal your money with a 12 gauge. I'm a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, not a teacher molesting a kid again. I got my status from my old school rap tape. I'm not a cop committing statutory rape. Pedophile cops, pedophile teachers, pumping kids underneath the bleachers. Get the criminals out the police force. Stop teachers from riding kids like a horse. Crooked cops, stop trying to raid rappers. Go to Palestine, find some real kidnappers. Pedophiles in school, my guess is that's why they got the boys wearing dresses.
Give it up for Afro Man. Give it up for K Reno. Those are the guys there. I do this shit because I needed to heal. Those guys actually stepped up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's beautiful. Hey, Mark, get better. Stop standing in one spot. I need better angles. Move around. Get these people. Anybody that has a great camera, please get as many angles you can. We're going to use this stuff in a music video. It's going to drop in a few months. And I need better quality. I got one 4K camera and no professionals. I'll take whatever I can get. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. God bless you. We love you. Thank you, Bailey, for bringing me out here, man. This shit's amazing. Like, it was a trip. The devil been trying to get in the way the whole time. Amen,
So I just want to tell you, I heard this young man say, I need to heal. This young man grew up being sex trafficked. He is very much the reason that we're all here, is to stop this from happening to others. But more importantly, today he's a father. He's a proud father. He has 3 beautiful daughters, 14, 15, and 18. But the most special thing is today is Isabella, his 15-year-old daughter's birthday.
Hold on. Can I do that one more time except like the signature? Okay, cool. Hold on. That would be so awesome. Y'all are awesome. You got me crying right now. You know that. So serious. I left a bunch of cash in a drawer for her this morning. She thought I was like, I didn't know what else to do. Hold on. Where's my Bella baby? Okay. Y'all are awesome.
So while we're waiting, just to remind everybody, we're going to the Monocle tonight. And I'm going to say this afternoon instead of tonight. We finished up yesterday by 4 and instead of 6. So spread the word. We're probably going to head over to the Monocle at 6. Check the back of your name badge for the interactive map, and you can find the Monocle address and time on there. It is at 107D Northeast. Strange street name. Anybody come from a place that names streets that way?
Yeah, strange music, man. Hey, baby girl, I love you. Check it out. They wanted to say something to you.
Happy birthday, Isabella. Hey. We have another speaker for you. A fabulous woman in from Missouri. And her name is Laura Ann Thompson. Laura Ann, due to her experiences, took herself to graduate school, where she studied the correlation between foster care and the sex trafficking pipeline. Please welcome Laura Ann.
like she said, my name is Laura Thomason, and I have a master's in human services specializing in social community services, but I spent my whole time there studying the operation of child protective services. Along the way, I learned the abuse of power that happens within the system. However, my subject today is going to be the correlation between foster care and human trafficking. Behind the shadow of the American dream, there is a nightmare. The voices of the lost children are forced to remain silent in a world that has forgotten them. Within our own communities, children are being sold, tortured, and trafficked. We have thousands of missing children from foster care system built to protect them. Sex trafficking includes forms of exploitation, coercion, systematic rape, and torture. Many people who have experienced such have lifetime issues, and some never recover. There are hundreds of cases of sexual and physical abuse of children within the custody of agencies funded by the government. There are many issues that plagues the child welfare system. Some facts about the American foster care system and the correlation to trafficking. As it stands, America has closed cases of 53,000 foster kids listed as runaways and 61,000 listed as missing. A study was done using information from 12 different states of 486 known victims to identify and analyze the extent of victim in domestic minor sex trafficking, DMST, who either ran away from or grew up in the foster care system. The results indicated that 87% of the victims had been in the child welfare, while the 87%, only 10 of them were trafficked for labor, the rest for sex. The result also indicated that out of the 486 identified victims, 100 of them were recruited as minors. According to one study, as high as 86% of children sold into commercial sex trafficking is from the child welfare system. Several studies have identified that there is indeed a connection between children in the system and DMST. The National Center for Missing and Exploited and Missing Children report that out of 18,500 exploited children rescued from trafficking, over 80% of those children were from the foster care system. The National Foster Care Institute report FBI estimates that over 100,000 children are victims of sex trafficking. We know that number is way bigger than that. In October of 2021, a report came out that indicated that 987 kids came up missing from the Missouri foster care system, and out of those 1,000 children, only 34% were ever reported. The rest were never even reported missing. So this raises a whole lot of questions, but one of the things that I also realize is that these children, or these agencies that didn't report these missing children, were, I would allegedly continually to receive funds on these kids. And so that right there is something that we are hoping to get audited as well. They raised awareness in June of 2021. The Office of Inspector General worked with Homeland Security and the operation that rescued children from sex trafficking. They recovered 31 victims, 14 of them missing from foster care. One of them was only 4 years of age. A study was done to examine Missouri's response to missing foster children. Prior to the study, the Office of Inspector General, along with Metro Police Departments and Departments of Justice, worked together to locate missing foster children. After prompting an investigation, the outcome became breaking news, but only for a second. We do not hear nothing else about these children, even though the OIG vowed to conduct further investigation after they identified the failure of Missouri's Children's Division. The OIG reported that Missouri failed and that it did not comply with policies or identifying those kids who are at higher risk of running. There were no interventions to reduce the risk, and over half of the missing children, that they claimed as runaways were too young to be runaways. From our research, we found one to be 14 months old, and another one to be 5 years old that they said had ran from the foster care system. I don't know if they mean that a parent ran or what, but they were missing. So shortly after, Georgia did their own investigation. It indicated that 1,740 foster kids came up missing in a matter of a couple years. The subcommittee investigation determined that DCF failed to adequately assess and respond to safety risk of 84% of the cases reviewed between March and June of 23. The report further stated that under federal standards, that means DCF failed to make concerted efforts to assess and address the risk of safety concerns. The report also touched the previous findings publicized by the subcommittee, and Senator Ossoff included that nearly 1,800 children who were under the DCF care were reported missing between 2018 and 2021. The report notes note reports that the representatives for the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children testified that 410 of these children were sex trafficked. It is estimated that 55 children will disappear from foster care each day. Because there are often no pictures of them, the authorities do not know who they are looking for. Anna Walker was found dead after missing from a group home. Her parents claimed she was being trafficked for sex. One child trafficked is one too many. There are 5 common reasons to why our foster children are at high risk of being trafficked. Childhood neglect and abuse often leads these children to feeling unloved. Because these children desire affection, offenders groom them. They often normalize being used for financial gain. The system is getting paid. The foster parents are getting paid. Everyone is getting paid, and these children know this. These children often have fractured safety nets, meaning they have no one to turn to when they find themselves in trouble with an abuser. They are longing for somewhere to fit in, and they want someone to love them. The traffickers often enter their lives as wolves in sheep clothing and manipulate the child. And finally, they are often running from either an abusive home or group home and have aged out of care and are homeless. While researching the subject, human trafficking and child protective services, I realized that the welfare system creates behaviors within the system that increase the risk of those children being trafficked. Now, come on, 100 runaways, maybe 200 suspicious, but almost 1,000 is a tragedy. This is not discussed on mainstream media. We all know that they like to not discuss the truth on there. So the story broke out of losing 1,000 missing children, and then we heard hardly anything from that point on. So this is no conspiracy. 31 judges recused themselves from a lawsuit alleging family court guardians, psychiatrists, and other entities had a money-making scheme. They were exposed. The GALs were exposed. This is the day that the truth was exposed to the world. It is not validation that we are looking for. We have done our research. We know what we know. The day has risen to rise for a reason. So many people are silent about the operations of CPS. This is no conspiracy. Illinois is missing 2,000 foster children currently. 123 children died in Illinois foster care in 2019. One dead child is one too many, but 123 is unacceptable. In 2020, the number of children removed from their parents doubled than from 2017. Blamed on budget cuts. They asked for more money. Wow, how does less money produce more kids? Makes no logical sense. Child welfare is largely funded by Title IV, 40% of their state budget, to be exact, an open-ended entitlement grant providing funding to the Department of Family Services based on predetermined formulas. The states must spend the money to receive money from federal government. The money pot has no ceiling, and they must have children in care. The system is set up so that many professionals depend on foster care kids for job security. The qualifications are: a child must be in care, a child must be removed from the home, they must be in foster care placement. And then the funding is distributed by the Administration of Children and Families, ACF. The regulation and distribution of these funds lead toward the removal of children. This incentivizes removing children. Now, how does this contribute to the trafficking of children? It has been proven that a child's brain is affected by the removal from the biological child or caretaker. After 15 or 20 foster homes, many they are abused in. These children often run to the streets. This makes them targets for traffickers. These kids have no safety nets, remember, and safety nets to run to, and the cycle of human trafficking often becomes a reality in their life. So end immunity for those who break the laws and unjustly take children for profit and lose them. Hold them responsible for foster children, accountable for missing. Change the funding to per capita and not per child. In many states, there are programs equipped to vet local foster kids to see if they have been trafficked after returning to care. Monopolized Family First Act funding. We are very aware of the oppressors, and we are highly mindful of why they demand silence from those of us who they serve, for those who they serve and employ. Social workers are not able to speak of the cases, although many of them are socially adapted to the systemic issues. Abuse of power diverts talent to a wasteful end. We can no longer allow CPS to operate this way. We must hold them accountable for the children who have suffered at their hands. Many children have been turned upside down and families turned upside down because of caseworkers fabricating false reports. There are hundreds of children dying in care in the state. Many thousands are missing. Please understand our viewpoint. These cases, workers often go without being held accountable for their wrongdoing, and lack of accountability and not reporting missing children. CPS is operating by profit. Obedience is the psychological mechanism that links individual action to political purpose. More crimes have been committed in obedience than ever in rebellious. So some of you have been personally affected by this, if not all of you standing here, or have known someone who has. Look around you. Where there is one person standing, there are hundreds more of the same story. Many are gagged by the unjust system and that wants to keep you quiet. People are afraid to stand up because they fear jail, they fear retaliation, and for a good reason. Well, we are not afraid any longer. We are not going to be silent. We cannot remain silent. We must raise our voices and raise awareness. No more silence. Be the voice of the children.
Thank you, Laura Ann. Thank you very much for all the work that you have done. A lot of the parents here, the grandparents here, they've put themselves through college degrees, doing major studies. They've become attorneys because the system took their children and they were bound and determined it wasn't going to happen to them. Wasn't going to happen to their children because it is generational around here. So I have the pleasure of introducing one of the sweetest, most on fire for the Lord, Holy Spirit directed, strong women I've ever met in my life. I'm from Connecticut. She's from, where's Larry? Where's Larry? Bama. Larry's from Alabama as well, and I just met him this trip, and he told me he's from Bama. So Terry LaPointe is also a mom and a journalist, someone who has gone out and written stories about what's happening to all of us. She wrote a book. She's a published author. It's an awesome, awesome read. It's sad, and it's inspiring all at the same time. The name of the book is Voices Will Not Be Silenced. Without further ado, the author and my friend, Carrie LaPointe. Terry LaPointe.
Thank you for that. I'm here from Alabama, and I am running for U.S. Congress, for the U.S. Congressional seat number 3. And I'm here to tell you why I'm doing it. Like she said, I'm a mom. I was a homeschool mom, minding my own business, taking care of kids. I was a breastfeeding educator. I was a labor doula. I wanted to be a midwife and catch babies. But God had other plans. And I read an alarming story back in 2014 that freaked me out about Child Protective Services taking this child from from her parents and at the hospital for a medical disagreement. And I thought, well, this is crazy. This is an anomaly. This is not the way it's supposed to work. And I had started doing some writing on the side just to kind of supplement our income. And I followed up on that story. And then I covered a story, and a homeschool mom told me about one out of Arizona. I thought, this is crazy. What's going on here? And I was invited to join in as they were starting a division of Health Impact News called medicalkidnap.com. And they said, would you like to investigate these stories? And I said, yes, because I want to know what's going on. Is this a threat to normal families across America like mine? just trying to raise our kids, live our life, and be good Americans, And so I started investigating, and I had no idea what I was getting into. Absolutely no idea. I found out that if you disagree with the doctor and you want to get a different approach, maybe one doctor says one thing and another doctor says another thing, and you, using your own research, decide you want to go with this one, not that one, this doctor can report you and you can have your child taken away. If you want, say, a second medical opinion before they do something like, take a baby's kidney or cut off their leg, for something that you actually want a second opinion, you want confirmation testing done before you agree to these kinds of things. I didn't know that they could take your children away from you. And I learned that here in America, through a crazy loophole, that children who are in foster care can legally be used for medical research or drug testing without their parents' knowledge or consent. I didn't know that. Most people still to this day have no idea when we say that. And it's people that I've told this before, and before it doesn't even register. They act like they've never even heard this, because it's like, what? That can't be, because it's just so alarming that this can happen, and they bypass the Nuremberg Code, that thing that was supposed to protect people from being experimented on without their knowledge or consent, without informed consent. And so they bypass it by having judges and social workers give consent on behalf of the parents. So I kept digging, and I kept digging. I did a really in-depth thing on child abuse pediatricians. They're in all of our children's hospitals and in some hospitals besides children's hospitals. Now, these are doctors that are supposed to be determining whether something is abuse or not. Sounds great, right? Right? We want to know, because child abuse is a crime. Child abuse is terrible. Nobody wants child abuse, and absolutely we don't want to see children be abused. However, these doctors, whose job it is to determine whether or not something is abuse, are ignoring the medical conditions that kids have that mimic child abuse. They're not doing their due diligence in differential diagnoses. And I've done so many stories where I would have experts, real experts in these conditions, 6, 8, as many as a dozen real experts that say, this is not abuse, this is a medical condition that imitates abuse, that maybe looks like it, like osteogenesis imperfecta, infantile rickets, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, all kinds of different things that really can cause some, like brittle bones condition or something. And the judges and the courts will ignore all of those and take the word of the child abuse pediatrician. By the way, these child abuse pediatricians are not experts in anything. I actually wrote an article like that. You can find it. Child abuse pediatricians are not experts in anything. Guess who pays them? Guess how they're funded? Through Blue Cross Blue Shield, right? No, they're funded through Health and Human Services. They're funded through Health and Human Services. Our tax dollars pay them. Texas Policy Institute put out a report, and they used a whole lot of information that, by the way, by that time I had discovered and published. I find it difficult to believe that they didn't refer to some of my research. They would have had to. They found so many of the same things, or else independently, other people are learning about the same things I was. That could be too. However, what they found was when a child abuse pediatrician is involved, that they would confirm abuse in 88% of the cases. When a child abuse pediatrician was not involved, when it was other doctors who actually knew their stuff, like radiologists and audiologists, all kinds of different doctors that know their stuff and they're actual experts and specialists, there's only 22% findings of abuse in those cases. And in the ones that did make it, that were appealed, 1/3 of those cases that the child abuse pediatrician said were abuse were overturned upon appeal. Now, a lot of parents can't afford that. A lot of parents can't get to the appeals process, and many times they can't even find an attorney to do it. There's not a lot of Connie Regulys around the country, Connie Reguly is amazing. She has fought, and she has put everything on the line fighting for families. I met her in the middle of this, and she's the founder of Family Forward Project. And we've been coming to Washington, D.C., and we have been talking to legislators, and we have been doing this for years and years. Kathleen, Arthur, and Connie started this before I started coming with them. I couldn't get away, but then I started coming with them and coming and meeting families like Bailey, families like all of these people that you hear from and that are going and testifying to the Congress people. Stories that will absolutely break your heart. And my heart was broken this morning, or today, when I heard Joel, our singer. He's one of the kids we're fighting for. He didn't say anything about why he was taken away, and I don't care why he was taken away. The chances are he could be, statistically, now I'm not speaking for him, statistically, he could be one of probably 80% of the kids that never should have been taken from their home. But the statistics also show that children are at least 6 times more likely to be raped, molested, abused, or at least 10 times more likely to be killed in foster care than if they'd been left in their own home, even if that home were an abusive home. Chances are that he's one of most of the kids in the system that have a grandma, like many of you out here, that have a grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, cousin, somebody that they knew and loved already, that was willing to take care of them. Most kids do. Foster care, they used to say about abortion it should be rare. Well, foster care should be rare. There is a place for foster care. There is a place for people stepping in and taking care of kids. There are true orphans. A lot of Christians like to say that, we're supposed to take care of the widows and orphans, right? Yeah, and we are, and the Bible tells us to do that, but nowhere in Scripture does it tell us to turn a child into an orphan in order to care for them. That is not biblical. I've seen the pain. Absolutely it is. So I've seen the pain and the trauma of these kids, and these young people. Many of them end up in prison. They end up teenage pregnancy, on drugs. They end up being rebellious. We hear about rebellion against the government. Well, hello. It's not that government itself is bad. It's that there are bad people that are using their platform that they were given. They were elected, duly elected by the people in their district to do the right thing, and they've come and they've not done the wrong thing by the people. They have betrayed their oath of office. They have betrayed the Constitution they're not doing what they're supposed to do. We have a wonderful Constitution. We have a wonderful Bill of Rights. I happen to be a Republican, and I think we have an amazing Republican platform. However, there are politicians and there are people in government who are not doing what they said they would do. They're not doing what they were elected to do. But I give you my word. I'm a bulldog, okay? I have an award. I have a statue, a bulldog statue. I was awarded by Michelle Mock and Investigates. I have proof I'm a bulldog. I got the Bulldog Award for my work on medical kidnapping. I'm a bulldog. I will not back down. I will fight for the children and for the families, because the families do not deserve to be ripped apart. We talk about children at the border going missing. And I've been seeing the numbers. There's 300 and something thousand children that go missing from the border, that were separated from their families and missing at the border. In that same time period, we had over 800,000 American children taken from their families, separated from their families, and going missing. Okay? So, while we need to be concerned about the border, yes, thank you. We need to be concerned about border security and not having people coming in here that and trafficking the children across the border. That's just one of the main reasons why I'm concerned about the border, is because of the trafficking of the children that was coming across the border. But in America, we're trafficking our own children through the foster care system. This Title IV monster, what it's doing, it is providing a perverse financial incentive for states to do the wrong thing. But what we need to do, what Congress needs to do, is provide financial incentives to states to do the right thing. And that is my promise, that I will do the right things. I will fight. I will fight for children, and I will fight for families until my dying breath. That is my promise.
So was I wrong, or is Terry LaPointe not amazing? Incredible. No, I know we don't all live in Alabama, but I know there are things that we can do to support her congressional run, and I urge you to follow her and check out her book and really understand the person that you would be supporting. She's the right woman for the job. I have the pleasure of introducing a gentleman who's here for the first time, but he is not new to this fight. He has traveled, he speaks, he does the most amazing thing. He travels via Greyhound bus. I want you to know we don't all have money to get around and do the work that we do. We do this on a volunteer, heartfelt, calling basis. We need to right these wrongs. He is speaking everywhere and bringing awareness. He now lives in Alabama. He is a wronged father from another state, but he is pleased as punch to be in Alabama. He talks about the current civil rights movement. Please welcome Larry C. Baker.
Okay. Well, I'm glad everybody here today at this good turnout for Family Forward Project Grassroots. My story is a true story. I'm still fighting the system to get my two daughters out. It's a straight cover-up. First, I want to give them applause, though, y'all. Give DCF applause on child trafficking, snatching babies, killing babies, all the above, being disability. Give them applause. That's what brought us here today, y'all, was them. Give them applause. We're not worthy of being in progress, but we are here, though, right? We are here to fight the system, right? Okay, that's what we're here for. Give them. They deserve all the applause in the world right now. This is what they do. This is their job. This is their job. Okay, but I'm gonna read what my case is about. And the first case was Mary Ellie Wilson. She was a victim. This was started DCSFS. Remember the first case. Now I'm gonna read my case, what I'm going through right now. Here I go. Real quick. Put my glasses on. To whom it may concern, true story cover-up. On March 3, 2019, around 8:30 p.m. and 9:45, I was coming back from McDonald's and Burger King in Kent, Washington, to 816 Prospect Avenue, North Kent, Washington. Daughters Egypt Baker and Unique Baker. Tan van drove up the driveway. As I was starting to feed my daughters, when my daughter Egypt Baker said, "Look, Dad," there was a Chinese man walking behind a UPS truck. Blue pants, black boots. Kent Correctional Department, Correctional Officer Holyfield and Sergeant Reed. Your driver behind the UPS truck was Sergeant Toon, T-U-N-G. Told my CPS worker Marissa McGee. She said, "Don't worry about that. Focus on my daughters, Egypt Baker and Unique Baker." That's what got my rights terminated. These people knew about Amy Thelman Fusker, Brian Fusker, Tim Fusker, Charlene Fusker, Harold Fusker, John Fusker, David Fusker, Lorraine Fusker, Jackie Pleasant, a.k.a. Debbie Duffy, Kathleen Martin, Casa, Brittany and Russ Gernhardt, Prosecution Allen. CPS worker Kent Washington knew about this cover-up. Now have 3 witnesses for a joint committee hearing in Washington, D.C. On top of that, these are color laws being broken under Title 42 USA Section 14141, pattern and practice by DCFS by terminating parents' rights. By DCF, when you sign off by doing your services timely matter, it should be unification for me and my daughters, Egypt Baker and Unique Baker. Breach of contract by DCFS. These people sign off on it. Leona Thomas, attorney, Helen Redmond, supervisor, Jessica Gill, DPD, and Alice M. Ross, MACC, and Mary T. Swift and Marissa McGee, CPS worker. Definition for civil cause of action to breach. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right there. Get this paper going. Contract by DCSF in Kent, Washington, fraud, illegally enforceable, promise, evidence by a written instrument on returning my kids, father, racial and discrimination against single black fathers, Title 18, USCSC Section 442, deprivation of rights under color law. 9.32, practical rights, 14th Amendment, due process, interference with parent-child relationship. The clause also includes a substantial component that provides heightened protection against governments like Mary T. Swift, my attorney, ineffective counsel, and CASA, Kathleen Martin, ineffective, and DCSF worker Marissa McGee. Ineffective. Amy and Brian Fusner, falsified documents, United States versus Pierce 383, USA 787, 1966. A, 2, B, and D. 18 USA 245, conspiracy against rights. The 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution of Massachusetts, 321 U.S. 185, 166, 1944. Through Marshall, should it be best in Quan versus Wilcox, 943 U.S. 246, 1978. What I'm saying, these are cases of being broken every day. Against us. Our civil rights are being broken. We have rights to our children. We have rights to do everything we can impossible to keep our children safe. But we let the wolf come in, the wolf gang come in and take our kids. Now I'm setting up a civil rights march in July this year. We're in Selma, Alabama. This is something where we have to address as a unit. We also spread it out. I've been to South Dakota, North Dakota, all through California. I got Ella Josephine Baker up in Oakland coming down here. This is something we have to be addressed as a unit now. All this, we're doing good. We're doing, but one big fiasco, what they're scared of. They don't want to have us all together. They want to dictate us. But as we are moving forward on a progress of selling out this non-progressive system, what ain't work for us, because the first kid got abused by a foster parents who started the DCSF, Mary. So now we gonna continue on fighting. But as I say, the bottom line is that there's justice at the end. You just got to stay focused. I understand parents are hurting with crime. We want our kids home. We got to keep on fighting. They're just not going to give us our kids back by just knocking on the door, going and talking to them. We got to take our kids back now. We got to take what's ours back now, and the buck stops here by taking it back. That's it. Thank you.
The other one? I think I need this one. We can hear live mic. Okay, so thank you, Larry. And then our next speaker is a precious grandma that we got to know last time when we came here to D.C. She's another one of these warrior grandmas, like the one in my book, and Voices That Will Not Be Silenced. She's another warrior grandma who's fighting for her kids, for her grandkids. And, sometimes kids are taken for valid reasons. There are valid reasons there are abusive parents. There are parents that really are doing bad things to their kids. We need to help those kids. We don't need to put them in harm's way. We need to put them when they have grandparents that love them, like I said. We need them to be with people that they already know and love, or people that are in their family line so they can have their own genealogical heritage, their own cultural heritage. But some of Tracy's, Cassiday's grandkids don't have that right now. And it's a tragedy. It is an American tragedy that is repeated over and over and over. We walked this poor lady down the halls. I don't think you had any idea how much walking we do in the halls of Congress, talking to so many congressmen. But she stuck with us, and she told her story, and she is an amazing person, and I'm proud to know Tracy Cassiday. So come on.
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Cassiday. I'm a veteran, a mother of 5, and a grandmother of nearly 9, and the Kentucky representative for the Family Forward Project. The Family Forward Project is a grassroots organization, and nationwide we are 20,000 strong. Today I stand here to tell you what the headlines never do. What happens when the child welfare system stops protecting children and starts punishing families? About 20 years ago, I went through a brutal custody battle for 2 of my 5 children. And in that battle, my exes weaponized Child Protective Services against me, as thousands of abusers do across this country. They filed reports, they made accusations, and CPS believed them. My children were removed from me, not once, but twice. I got them back, twice. No, but not before damage was done. One of my daughters was only 3 years old when she was placed in a foster home and sexually assaulted by the foster father. The child grew up traumatized. She still battles the consequences of what the system exposed her to, and no one was held accountable. Then, oh, I apologize, I skipped a page. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Give me a moment, please. Let me say that again. No one was held accountable for placing a toddler in a home with a predator. Pardon? I'm too close? Oh, sorry. They just moved on, but we didn't. We lived with it. We still live with it. My current husband and I have been happily married for nearly 5 years. We have known each other since we were both teenagers. We are both Army veterans and proud to be Americans. However, we feel that the family court system has failed thousands of families, including our own. Every time I hear the term best interest of the child, I cringe. Fast forward 20 years, and here I am, raising grandchildren. My husband and I are veterans and certified therapeutic foster parents through a private agency. We have passed home studies, background checks, and I passed 2 psychological evaluations that we had to pay for out of our own pockets. We've done everything that the state ever asked us to, multiple times. We have been raising the children of my youngest daughter. We've supported my adult children through addiction, mental illness, and recovery, and we've loved their children like our own. Thank you, babe. And then they came for Willow. Willow is our oldest granddaughter from my oldest daughter, who suffers from severe untreated mental illness. Willow lived with us for over 7 months, from January to August of 22. We were her only stable family. We gave her structure, consistency, and unconditional love. We were her home. The Cabinet for Health and Family Services gave us placement, approved us, initiated reunification twice. In 17 days before she was supposed to come home permanently, everything changed. Suddenly, false allegations were filed. Not by Willow's mother, not by a doctor, but by the daycare owner who happened to be a personal friend of the foster parents trying to adopt her. All prior allegations had been unsubstantiated, but this time, after we were indicted on felony child abuse charges, without any new evidence, without any investigation, without any due process, the cabinet reversed their findings and said the allegations were now substantiated. They never even sent a findings letter before changing their minds. Let me be very clear. We have not been convicted. We have not been proven unfit. We have not harmed our grandchildren. In fact, when they took Willow away from us, she was spending 4 out of 7 days a week in our home, bonding with her 3 cousins who love her like a sister. They severed that bond overnight. No goodbyes, no explanations. The truth is, our indictment wasn't about protecting Willow. It was about shutting us out of the adoption. And when that didn't silence us, it came for 2 more of our grandchildren. Our 8-year-old grandson and our 2-year-old granddaughter. Their mother had signed a temporary custody agreement with me. CHFS had even taken a picture of the agreement, and they expected our home the same day. They found no problems. Then almost a month later, a friend of the court filed an emergency custody order, and both children were taken. For the court is usually a GAL. She's the same one who filed the ECO on our first granddaughter as well. No explanation, no court-ordered custody hearing, just silence and removal. We are told the system is broken. I disagree. The system is working exactly as it was designed, to separate children from their families, to maximize federal funding, and to shut down dissent. Under Title IV-E, states get reimbursed for foster care placements and adoptions, but not for keeping families together. Let that sink in. If I raise my grandchild and keep her out of foster care, the state gets nothing. But if they remove her, place her in a licensed foster home, and later adopt her out, the state gets paid. This isn't about safety. It's about subsidies. Willow was almost 4 years old. She was counting the days until she came back home to us. We had already reserved the inflatable fun factory for her birthday. She picked it out herself. Her cake was ordered, her cousins had their outfits ready, and then, in a single moment, everything disappeared. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. Can you imagine the trauma, the confusion, the feeling of being abandoned again? And now the family she calls mommy and daddy are the ones trying to adopt her. The people who encouraged her to call them those names while she was in state custody, while the cabinet was still saying we were her permanent seagull. That is emotional manipulation of the child, and it is being rewarded with public funds. We do not need more foster parents. We do not need more adoption subsidies. We do not need more trauma made legal. We need mandatory due process protections before removal, full compliance with kinship placement laws, enforcement of notice and hearing rights for grandparents and relatives, independent oversight of CHFS and its retaliatory conduct, and most of all, we need a federal overhaul of Title 4E so states stop being paid to tear families apart. I will not be silenced. I have survived a weaponized system once before. I got my kids back, and I will get my grandchildren back. Not because I'm lucky, not because the system helps me, but because we fight, because we have love on our side, the law on our side, and most importantly, God is on our side. And all of this is more powerful than any paycheck. To every grandparent out there raising your babies, while the state tries to tell you you're not enough, you are enough. To every parent who made mistakes but fought your way back, your story matters. To every child who was taken and didn't know why, we will not stop fighting for you. To those in power, we are not your enemies. We are your neighbors, your veterans, your mothers, your grandparents. We're the ones picking up the pieces after your agencies fail. To those watching, please hear us. We don't need charity. We need change. Family is not disposable. Children are not commodities, and trauma is not a line item in your budget. We're not just here to be heard. We're here to be impossible to ignore. The Family Forward Project will not stop until every family has a voice and every child is protected, not just from their circumstances, but from the very system that claims to protect them. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, we have another treat for you coming right up. We have a return performance from hashtag Operation 1009. And he is going to be accompanied with what I will call his backup singer, but she's an artist of her own as well, Lil Milfy. Please welcome them in. They've arrived from Missouri and Texas to share with us today.
Can you hear it? Yeah, that one's alive now. All right. So first of all, this is not a backup singer. This is a singer. She is a real performer, like no nonsense. I was blessed with the opportunity to go on tour for a few weeks promoting that last song, and she was tour support. And at first, her name really shocked me. I was like, I can't. Then I was like, you know what? Lil Milfy. She's got kids, and she's proud of it at least. And she looks like a little Dolly Parton. But then I listened to her, and I was like, oh my God. And she heard mine and sent me this song, and we started doing this piece. And it is available. You can go listen to her in. But what we're about to do is going to be available in a couple months. Just I hope you get some good camera angles. And thank you, by the way. You just press play whenever you want. This is her song. I'm just blessed to be on it.
This is my song called Tired. And it's great. We just recorded it. I love it.
Turn it up a little bit.
Yeah, turn that up.
Airstrikes, unfair pets felt in every nation. All the chemicals in the sky makes it hard for migration. For the birdies and the bees and the pollen in the breeze. Rinse spike, the food's tight, we got farmers complaining. Heard the cows are falling over in the fields of the plains. And hasn't been rainy, coincidentally the same time as campaigning. What's up with that? Who's to say I'm the only one who thinks this way? What is wrong with this giant map we're living tired of being broke, I'm tired of being mad, I'm tired of being helpless, tired of being sad, tired of watching the world crumble at my feet. I'm tired of being helpless, tired of being blue, and if you're singing this, that means you were tired too, so join together, let's live in harmony. Forget about the fame, forget about the money. When's the last time you had no GMO and honey? Why is my sugar cane all covered in bleach? What the fuck? My kid's freaking tweaking almost every stinking day, cause they put red 40 in just about everything. It goes right straight to his brain. I pray to God above the evil profiting, see suffering when karma comes. Who's to say I'm the only one who thinks this way? What is wrong with this giant map we're living on? I'm tired of being broke, I'm tired of being mad, I'm tired of being helpless, tired of being sad, tired of watching the world crumble at my feet. Tired of being helpless, tired of being blue, and if you're singing this, that means you were tired too, so join together, let's live in harmony.
They got $5,000 business suits and islands. The operation's working, the mockingbirds are lying. Everybody's got red shoes and they're tapping their feet. It's like the Nuremberg trials when the news anchor smiles. The paperclip decides where the truth's getting filed. The media covers the whole gosh darn scene. So I ask myself, what does it mean? Why do I try? Why do I dream? Here I find myself, I'm looking at you, you and you. Yeah, the sun will keep shining no matter what they say. They can't take away the sky every single day, and I know somehow we're gonna make it through.
I'm tired of being broke, I'm tired of being mad, I'm tired of being helpless, tired of being sad, tired of watching the world crumble at my feet. I'm tired of being helpless, tired of being blue, and if you're singing this, that means you were tired too, so join together, let's live in harmony.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Real music, right? I can't stand rap. I heard that. I was like, it had to come with me. She literally drove from Missouri to Austin to go in the studio. First, it was like, I didn't even know if I could do this. And then she was like, let's fix it. And then I was like, okay, let's go to Washington. And then she met us where our plane landed. That's some serious driving.
I drove a lot, but
And drive. That's the whole double pun.
yeah. I appreciate you guys for bringing me out here. I go by Lil Milfy. I know the name is a little off-putting to some in today's society. Sex sells. Unfortunately, I am a product of all of that. I grew up watching things like The House Bunny and playing with Bratz dolls and do and thinking this is fine and fun and slutty is great. And you know, I had a court fine, and I wasn't shy, so I was like, okay, I'll just become a stripper and pay for that. And then I could afford, like, stuff for my kids, and I was like, wow, this is actually really great for me. It could be a stepping stone. I could pay for school. I could, like, pay back my parents for babysitting my kids all the time because I don't want them in the system. And now I'm here, and things are coming full circle, and I'm just really happy to be a part of something so great. Save Our Children is awesome. There's an Operation Soap out of my area in the 417 of Joplin, Missouri, Springfield, Missouri area is where I'm from. Operation Soap, they are on the ground actively live streaming and catching just general people, but they've caught bigger people, and I like doing all of this. I didn't know I'd ever be an activist. I thought I just wanted to be a singer and a performer, and things have all happened, but I'm really happy to be here. But what I was going to say, sorry, I got on a tangent about the Bratz dolls. I have a song called Make a Change. It is a rap song, but I kind of talk about how, basically, I'll just brief it up for you. I got to make a change in the way I make my change before I make my name, or it'll all stay the same. The way this industry sets up the games that we play, propaganda put me towards a messed up life of shame. So our little girls it's not just the foster care stuff that's going on. We gotta have a talk with Sexy Red. Why can't we have any female artists on the radio that can't mention their genitalia? Like, I'm a sex worker to an extent, bro, okay? Like, I am a literal dancer. I am uncomfortable. I don't like society right now. Like, I want to step away. So if you guys can help me with the music stuff, I want to be on stage doing this forever. And, like, doing this forever with you and you and you and you and everyone here and your little thingies. Like, we're a part of something great. Don't ever stop. So, sorry, I'm not a speaker. I guess I am. I'm a speaker. I'll start a pod.
Just know you did great. Thank you for. I'm not really coming to talk. I appreciate y'all accepting her. This is the result of trying to do something right with the music. We use music as a catalyst to change. And when I found somebody willing to talk in the middle of, when I went on tour, I'm with thugs and rappers and people are dying. And 2 people I know got shot recently. 1 didn't make it. This is the world we actually live in doing this music. And it's very unfortunate. So finding somebody, or at least artists that are willing to speak up and participate is so important. And the way I look at it, it's like the anti-Cardi B, you know what I mean? She's doing this with her clothes on. Keep her clothes on, man. Buy her music.
And thank you, Lil Milfy. We appreciate you very much. I would have loved to hear more of those lyrics. That was really awesome. And thank you, Tracy. Thank you very much for sharing your story. Very heartfelt. We're right there with you. At the moment, I get to introduce another father. I just cannot express. Grandfather. Another male in this fight, right? Yeah. Because we have so many moms and so many grandmoms. You're all out there listening. If you're a father, please, a grandfather, step up. If you're a product of what this system is producing and you feel strong, you want to tell your story, please step up, reach out. Family Forward Project. Find us on Facebook. Connection Power, please. So, I have the pleasure of introducing a very brave grandfather who stepped in and fought for his granddaughter. His name is Dave Mendenhall, and he hails from Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Thank you. My story starts with, I'd already had one granddaughter taken by the system. And that's a whole nother story. That's not okay. But I went down to Texas because my son and my daughter-in-law, then son and girlfriend, were expecting another child. And I went down there to make sure that I was there and that this wouldn't happen again. And so I didn't really know. I guess my mistake was in letting them induce labor. You know, there was an appointment to induce labor. That's what they did. So we showed up at Baylor Scott and White Hospital in Marble Falls, Texas at 4 a.m. on Friday, July 9th for a scheduled inducement of labor. Well, the umbilical cord was wrapped around my granddaughter's neck. The heart monitor was jumping up and down. I asked the nurse, what's going on here? She says, "Oh my God." And I says, "What?" She says, "Nothing." Well, there was an emergency C-section, and then there was a CPS case open the same day. That's when I relayed the concerns to the doctor about, my other granddaughter had cardiomyopathy. I was afraid this might happen again. Well, we were told CPS was going to come and interview us, and then the next day the investigator showed up. And she interviewed us, and then the next day the investigator showed up again with the other worker. I guess she was the kidnapper. She was the one that took my granddaughter away, and okay. So what they did was they went to a crooked judge on a Sunday, and they got a fraudulent emergency order to take my granddaughter. And part of it was secret accusations against me. They said that I was sponge baiting my granddaughter and changing her pads. So there was 3 likely reasons for these secret lies. To imply that I was some kind of pervert that could potentially molest my granddaughter. To compel me to get a psychological evaluation that normally wouldn't be needed of an intervener, and then to imply that I wouldn't be able to set boundaries with my daughter-in-law because we were in some kind of a relationship. So there's a lot of details here. I won't go into all of them. It's all pretty gory and pretty dramatic. I mean, I lawyered up, so they fought me. Yeah, we have to fight. But they fought me, and lawyers, a lot of times, they work for the court. Even paid attorneys, they work for the court, and they kind of tend to cut deals and then push them onto you. But we fought through this for 11 and a half months, and I took it to the brink of a jury trial. Actually, the jury pool was sitting in the courtroom, and I was ready to get on with the jury trial, but my son wanted to do a monitored return. And so finally he said, okay, if he can do it, if he wants to do it, let him try it, but I'm not going to agree to this. So let him try it. Let him see what happens. So that's what we got, is a monitored return. We got some more dirty tricks and false accusations, but we got a monitored return permanency hearing. And this hearing went on for 7 hours, but I had court watchers there at the hearing. And after 7 hours and some totally inappropriate testimony from the foster mom, inappropriate pictures from the foster mom, I should say, and we had something in our favor. We had a friend and fellow church member of the DA was sent to monitor the monitored return, and after a week they decided they didn't need him anymore because he wasn't seeing things the way that through the lens of CPS. So he testified in our favor. So after 7 hours, CPS was not able to stop the monitored return. They realized that they would not be able to stop the monitored return. And 3 months later, we got a final order, and we got our granddaughter back with me and my son as joint managing conservators. Well, me and my son we left Texas that night, and we went to Wyoming. Well, CPS tried to come after us in Wyoming. And I've showed many people here this totally ridiculous safety plan that I was asked to sign in Wyoming. But I kept my granddaughter, and but the fights never stopped. And we've had caseworkers knock on we've had some contacts from caseworkers occasionally. But I have my granddaughter. Yay. The unfortunate part is I've never found an attorney that was willing to sue CPS, but I have my granddaughter, and I'm going to keep fighting for you, fighting for me, fighting for you, fighting for my granddaughter, fighting for the Constitution, fighting for all of us. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Grandpa Mendenhall. We appreciate you. All right, I do not need a note to introduce the next speaker. She came here from Connecticut with me. We met a couple of years ago, brought together by similar abuse, not by the system directly, but by the children that were abused by the system and given to us to care for. I will speak tomorrow on what attachment disruption is and how it is impacting our children and creating a horrible life trajectory for most. But for today, I love this woman. She is a jewelry designer. She looks like a jewelry model. So it's fitting that this is something she does. Please welcome Denise Cox. She is, by the way, our Family Forward Advocacy Connecticut. You heard a woman talking about opening a chapter in Kentucky. We have been incorporated since 2018 in Connecticut. Woo! Chapters are there. We can help you get them done. We met her, and she has a skill set. She became our philanthropic director. So please welcome Denise Cox.
Wow. Thank you so much for hearing my story. I'm an adopted mother. I had an international adoption and adopted my little girl from Hungary after 11 years of doing in vitro and trying to have children on my own unsuccessfully. We ended up going international because the laws in the United States state that, you know, the birth parents can change their minds. And there was a little bit of talk about maybe a little bit of attachment issues, but I said, no problem. I'm going to love this kid, like, with all of my being, and that's never going to happen. Well, I was very uneducated. Unfortunately, we were not told the truth about her birth parents. We were not told the truth about a lot of things, and that's a big thing that needs to change, I think, as well with international adoptions and the parents being educated before they go into doing what they do. We brought our little girl home, and it was an uphill battle, basically, from that point forward. I had raised another child who had attachment issues and had been neglected, so I had a little bit of an inkling what to do with the school system. And I think if I had an advocate alongside with me and my husband, that we would have really had a lot easier time. My daughter's been away from me since she was in 8th grade. She's been in institutions because I didn't know. And I've been fighting for her, and I will fight for your children just the same, because that's what I want to do. My daughter's now 21. I lost my husband 5 years ago to pancreatic cancer, and I lost my mother right before that. So it has not been easy, and I lost my whole family, including my dog last year, who was my baby girl. She was my support dog. I lost her to cancer as well. But all I can say is when we have trust in God and we have a voice, when we get up and we speak and we help one another and we support one another, that's when change can happen. And all of you and all the stories that I've heard from you, speaking from your heart, and your grandbabies and your children that you don't have, and the kidnapping, the medical kidnapping, has brought me to my knees. I will pray for you. I will fight for you. I will be a voice for you, because I believe in the goodness of humankind and supporting one another. We have a voice for each other. And my story is very different than your story, but I still have been without my little girl because she's been in a place that she's not with me. She's 21, and we're just starting to have a relationship, and I pray that we will. But it was abusive behind the doors, and so I never had any support from my family, my friends. They were all questioning me, like, well, maybe you're just not being a really good mom, or because the world that we live in, when somebody's different, unfortunately, we're not supported. We end up going into a cocoon, and I think a lot of us can kind of understand that. Whatever your story is, because when you're different, you have to protect yourself. And so it feels really good to be able to stand up here and share my story and to speak my truth, because I wasn't able to do that for a really, really long time. So I'm just really excited to share my story and give hope to others, and just keep fighting for each other and supporting one another. So God bless you all. Thank you.
Yep. All right, so our next speaker that I'm delighted to introduce to you is Melina Marcos. I met Melina here in D.C. I meet so many amazing people here in D.C. She's a mom and a grandmother, and from Florida, and she's been in the Deep South. and you know, let's see, she was powdering her face and making sure was all fixed up and dolled up, all cute, and made friends everywhere she went. Everywhere she goes, she just will speak to people. She will, in the elevator, and everybody's kind of uncomfortable looking. Like, Melina will say, well, so how's your day? And start talking and have a conversation. And she will literally talk to anybody. She is fearless, and she's a warrior, and I'm proud to introduce her to you.
I appreciate that kind word of being fearless. I think it's more about, hi, I'm Melina. I'm grateful to be here today, grateful to be alive. The last 2 years I've had a lot of health issues. After my one kid with mental health turned 18, I think my body just got tired, got tired out. And it's trying to take a hiatus on me. But I'm determined. So I'm here because obviously, just like most of us who are here talking today, we have lived experience. And I had a very long, messy world. I was raised to stay in a marriage no matter how bad it got. Once you get married, didn't matter if you were stupid and you married the wrong person, you were going to stick to it. And I had to do a lot of soul searching and praying about that. And my Creator said, honey, you're going to die before you get out of this if you don't get out of this. And so I felt that peace and understanding that I didn't think I could get because I was raised and taught you don't get divorced. So when I finally got the courage, because now this abuse of all these years were taking a toll on me, that it was turning its advances towards my children. And you're not going to do that because I'm a mama bear. Always been a mama bear. I'll take the lickings. I'll take the abuse. I'll take whatever you got for me to shelter and pad for my children. But when you turn it to my children, you're going to see a whole different human being. So I got the courage up. And it's interesting that Miss Terry says I'm outgoing and I'm fearless and I'll talk to anybody. That's actually what I have done as a coping mechanism for my extreme anxiety and fear of being rejected by every human being that I meet. Because I was taught, groomed, coerced, beaten, browbeaten physically, emotionally every single day that I was worthless. I wasn't smart. I was stupid. And I was in a relationship where even though I was absolutely beautiful and I had people telling me all the time I needed to get out of this situation, I couldn't believe it anymore. Because even my family didn't even know how to help me because they believed I should stay married and figure it out and work it out, right? So I called the therapist because after I had just given birth to my fourth child, and I had some substances in my body that my husband had brought home because he knew if he brought those home and pushed those in my body, I would be more compliant to bend to his will. And this became kind of a routine with us. It was not too often, but those happened. That caused me to go into early labor. I have 6 children. I'm supposed to have 10. 2 of those children are not here today specifically because of those abuses, those types of abuses. Probably the other 2 were the stressors that led to those abuses. I don't know. So I have 6 girls that are living. So after this 4th child was born and the advances started being noted to my children and my children were making statements, I decided I needed to talk to this therapist in a different aspect. I was already telling the therapist that, there were things happening in the home, but I had to be very careful because my husband was right there at every meeting. He was one of those that went to the therapy. You know why? So he could undermine everything and gaslight everything that I was saying. So when I got the courage up and I decided to go ahead and talk to him, and I made this call saying, my kids are saying some things, and I've been observing some things. And to note, I already had 2 other older children that he was a stepdad to had already made statements. And I tried my very best not to believe those and be in denial because he denied them. So you know, they have this thing called mandated reporting, which I didn't know about back then. So they sent somebody out to talk to my kids, and my kids confirmed what they had said to me. They come, they're going to take me to a place where they're going to investigate the kids, and they're going to, which I didn't know at the time, pretty much body search them, which they did, up and down, in and out, all over, ask them grilling, horrible questions, traumatizing my children. The three that were making certain statements were 6, 3, and I had a 2-month-old. I had a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old also, who at that point were doing some other things and weren't staying in our home directly because I had fears of what was happening to me. He was turning those advances onto them, and they were not his biological children. So they come out, they say, we're going to take you to Safe Haven. We're going to get you somewhere. We're going to protect you and those children, like a women's in distress. Okay, great. But we're going to have him leave the home for the night. We don't have the resources for you to get checked in tonight, so you're going to have time to pack. We're going to come get you in the morning. Okay. All right. You sure he's not going to come here? He's not going to, do something? Nope. He's agreed. Okay, great. In the morning, the same PI guy comes to the house. He has a completely different tone. He gets there an hour early. I'm breastfeeding the 2-month-old. The 3 and the 6-year-old are running around. So obviously I haven't packed yet because I have another hour. Anybody who has had kids know they're going to be running around doing stuff, and you can't get things done. So I'm trying to get everything done, and he's knocking at the door, but his demeanor is completely different. He's almost angry at me. And I'm like, okay. He says, okay, we need to get these children packed up. And I said, okay. So I went in there, and he's talking to one of the kids, and I come back out, and I said, oh, so I pretty much got them packed. And I said, okay, but I need to grab some of my stuff. He's like, no. You don't understand. You're not going. I said, excuse me? Wait a minute. We just did all this yesterday. My kids testified. You agreed. You said blah, 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 blah. And he said, no. Your husband, he works. You stay at home. He says you're not intelligent. You don't have a degree. You don't have anything. You're not uneducated. What do you know? He says you're just laying around all day with your children. That he actually does all the work. Oh, and by the way, him doing drugs, he doesn't, you're the one that just had a baby with some drugs in your system. We didn't test. I said, but you didn't test him. He's the one that brought them home. How, if you say I don't work and I don't make money, where did I get the drugs, dude? But, where did I get these suckers? So, anyway, long story short, that sent me on the long road of being treated as a human pawn. My children were put into 2 separate foster homes. And the 2 homes, God gave me the ability, which I didn't know was an ability at that time. I thought it was a curse and everything was cursed, to see a good foster home and a bad foster home. Because God knew I was going to be right here today. Because I needed to be able to eloquently advocate that foster care, it does need to be there. 15% of children out here are abused and neglected. But the 86%, like all of us, need resources, need love, need a good neighbor, need someone to connect with them and find those resources. So the first time I went through this, I was dumb, but I fought and I won. I got my kids back, and I thought, it's over. I'm going to put my love and ministry into my children. But there were apparently bigger plans. Went through it again, and that time I knew it wasn't me. I needed to look at the beast that was operating and did this to my children. So that's when I learned about Title IV-E and how it operates. You have to remove a child from that parent before you can access services. That is it. That's the bottom line. Oh, but wait, you get a bonus if you sign them off to some stranger who they, now can get all kinds of benefits and funding for. But we couldn't have given a third of that effort to that family to keep them together, to heal them. Preservation is key. So I decided to grab everything I could in my little town down in South Florida, and there happened to be a lot on the peer movement, on initiating recovery steps, on making and healing a family where they're at. And I spent the last 10, 15 years becoming a national family advocate, using my expertise as someone who has a PhD in flipping life, right? Which all of you have earned or are earning your degrees in fighting this system. Because again, they have the resources, they have the trickery, they have the knowledge. So one of the things that we're looking for right now is we need more of us, okay? If 1 million parents a year, 500 to 600,000 children a year are affected by this child welfare system, and this has been going on for 30 years, we have 30 million parents out here, double that, triple that number, because you got grandparents too, right, who've all been affected by the system. We need you to wake up, see the beast, come find me, come find Family Forward, and become an advocate, because if it's not you, it's someone you know, someone you're kin to, a neighbor down the street that you heard some story that they had a DCF interaction. Become an advocate. We need to start standing up. Everybody gets advocates in every other realm of this existence. This is a place where parents who are thrust into this system, unknowing of how it operates, find someone who has had that history, that past, that energy, and that willingness to come along beside you, who's been trained and has the passion to help you understand the system so you can do the best fight possible to bring your children home, because your children have a right to you and you have a right to them. And we put God up in it because he can do it. Thank you. Keep doing your dues.
We still need the other one. Okay. All right.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
All right. It's the Terry Sherry Show. I want you to know, all you new people that have come here, people watching, we had a bunch of people come down and we held some classes on how to go talk to your lawmakers, how to find them, how to engage. And following the class, we then took some people around that hadn't done it before, walked into a bunch of offices, gave your little 30 seconds to get a business card for who's responsible for talking about child welfare and foster care in that governing office. We got sort of connected by the people running it and said, Sherry, you take Sherry and Larry. So seriously, we walked into a bunch of offices and said, hey, it's Sherry, Sherry, and Larry. Anyway, it's been a great time. We are wrapping up for today. We're going to have personal stories after, if anybody wants to come up. We still have the mic and the camera going. We just want to shut it down for the formal part. I do want to say I hope you've heard things here worthy of sharing. You're seeing this on your screen. You weren't able to come here. There are other people that you've seen, you may know, you may not know firsthand what's happening with them, but everyone, I guarantee you, everyone in this country knows someone that has been affected by this. Everyone does. So share it far and wide. And with that, Terry, would you have a few words?
Oh, something I say so many times is never give up. Never give up. Never, ever give up. Our children are too important. Our families matter. The enemy comes in, the people that are speaking for the government under color of law, they're speaking for, they say that they're speaking for the government. They're not even following their own policies. They're not following the laws. They're not following the Constitution, which is the law of the land. But they tell you that your family, you're not good enough. But you know what? God put those children in your family. God picked you to be the mom. You know, and there was a story, I know all of you have heard this out of the Bible, the story of Solomon and his wisdom. Okay? Well, there were these two moms that came to him, and one of the mothers had woken up and the baby was dead. So there was one baby left, and they were fighting over the baby, both of them saying, this is my baby, this is my baby. And so what does Solomon do? He says, you know, well, we're just going to cut the baby in half and give one to each. But the real mom said, give it to her rather than, no, that's my baby, let my baby live. You know what? You know the profession of those moms? Anybody? They were prostitutes. Okay, in our world, that is not really considered a good thing, right? In morality, all that, that's not the greatest thing. But you know what? Solomon recognized something very vitally important, that every single child has a need for their own real mom, their own real dad. It doesn't matter the profession, it doesn't matter the faults. There's no such thing as a perfect family, but it built inside of every one of us is the need for our real mom and dad, for the love and approval of our real parents. That is something, and that's why adoption. Sherry's going to talk about attachment disorder. That's why there are issues. Not every child is fortunate enough to have the love and approval of their parents. However, every child still wants that. It's inherent in those children. That is why we fight for these children to have the right.
I'll add to that, since I do come to this from an adoptive parent perspective, that in the case of my children, my 3 beautiful, sweet babies, I adopted a sibling group of 3 that needed someone to love them and guide them and care for them and teach them. Today, they're older. They're doing fabulous. Some of them work alongside me with the advocacy. But what their parents, I never spoke against their parents, not once.
Thank you.
Your parents had a hard time taking care of you. Your parents have a hard time taking care of themselves. They came from domestic violence. They perpetrated domestic violence. They believed in solving their problems that way. They had mental illness themselves. They had drug and alcohol abuse. They were a hot mess. I never discouraged them except where they were inappropriate. And from there, we worked very well together. My daughters today will say, how much do you think of us is nurture and how much is nature? And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, because it takes both. It really does. Just a quick, I was raised by my grandparents. That desire for that love and approval never left. But my grandparents, especially my grandmother, my mama.
Hang on one second. I love you guys. I love you to pieces. But my grandchildren's school bus driver just called my phone. So I'm going to step off over here.
All right. So that's important. So back to this, never give up. Never give up. I have covered stories where it'd be 7, 8, 10 years. Parental rights terminated. Parents never gave up. They found the promises that God gave them, and they held on to them. You find what it says in the Word about families, and you find that thing that speaks to you, where God is speaking to you, and you hold on to it, and you never, ever give up. Because one day, God promises that He will bring good out of it. And restoration of families is God's heart. The healing is God's heart. So I just want to encourage you, and come back tomorrow. We're going to be back here tomorrow afternoon, and we've still got some the family stories today. And and the Monocle. We're meeting at 6 o'clock at the Monocle. So and it's walking distance. It's very close. Oh, we're going earlier. So as soon as the family as soon as the personal stories are, when that wraps up, then we're going to head over there. So and so we'll eat together. So.
Well, actually, you guys, the Monocle is super expensive. I would recommend just having a drink and eating later.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we're just going to hang out there and then we'll eat. But we have some more special music before the personal story. So the singers that we've all fallen in love with today, they are coming back. So let's give it up for Joel and
We're giving it up. We're giving it up for hashtag Operation 1009 and Lil Milfy.
I don't know. Check it out. Hey, if y'all would do me a favor, though, I am filming on this. Would y'all be willing to come forward for this song just for visual purposes that I can use in a music video? If you don't want to be in a music video, then please definitely stay back there. But if you're willing to participate and be in the next thing that we're going to do. Now, I also want to, hold on, press pause real quick on that. And we'll definitely have to turn that up. That's very low. This next song, I literally just use the microphone. I talk a lot. There's a little bit of backtrack singing. She's going to sing on top of it. But I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to Sarah Jackson, who is actually another voice, a victim who's been through so much. And she originally sang this in the studio for me one time, and it turned into what anybody that's ever heard it knows. Oh, there's no dancing to this. I usually just sit down and do it. This isn't even, it's not cool at all. Like, it's more like a public service announcement. You can sit down. Hell yeah, you can be there. I do it.
Did you guys add me on Spotify?
She's ready about Spotify. I don't even know they use Spotify.
I don't know. Whatever you got, I'm on it. Probably.
All right, yeah, all right. Press play, but you may have to turn it up a little bit, big bro. There it is. Okay. Rest in peace, my brother AJ. He's the one that brought me in and took these poems that I had written and created this whole thing, and he died and all this.
Wake up, wake up. The times are changing quick. Hillary's been named right next to the prince. Epstein didn't hang himself and Weinstein snitched. The truth is Trump's trying to save these kids. I've never been a believer in deceitful politics, but today I'll give some facts like KRS did. The only difference is today we really have a chance to make a difference in the world with the device inside our hand. March 14th, 2020, Sidney Powell, a mighty high attorney, told the world the emails from the Clintons' missing archives have finally been found on the laptop belonging to a convicted pedophile. Anthony Weiner, look him up by name. May 19th, 2017, the day he ran Hillary's 2016 campaign, and they all share the indictment with Huma Abedin. John McCain's wife said they knew about the island. Michael Flynn spoke up, now he's locked down for trying. But it don't stop here, no, the list just piles up like the kids last year that disappeared with no write-up. The numbers are staggering, tell me where did they go? We're talking 40,000 kids simply missing from this world. I'm not making up these numbers, I dare you all to try me. That's just the 10% that we lost in 2019.
I wanna see the babies, tell me where did they go? How is it possible to lose their souls? Gotta be a reason, something we aren't told. It's time to take a trip down the rabbit hole. I wanna see these babies, tell me where did they go? How is it possible to lose their souls? Gotta be a reason, something we aren't told. It's time to take a trip down the rabbit hole.
So many children, so many lives, where are they all at? How many won't survive? How many have we lost already? How many still cry? They call this ship mercy, and I think I see why. Adrenochrome's the potion that's extracted from their mind. It's pulled right out the brain, it's put inside a vial. It's the most expensive drug that money could ever buy, and every single dose is another dead child. May 10th, 2014 was the day that the Queen and the Pope and the minister would pay. They were convicted of the death of over 800 slaves, and all the corpses found were under 13 in age. But of course they never showed. They had 1 week to go, all given life imprisonment, and it all just went home. Ritualistic killings, knife marks on the bones. It's crimes against humanity, the list just goes on.
I wanna see the babies, tell me where did they go? How is it possible to lose their souls? Gotta be a reason, something we aren't told. It's time to take a trip down the rabbit hole. I wanna see these babies, tell me where did they go? How is it possible to lose their souls? Gotta be a reason, something we aren't told. It's time to take a trip down the rabbit hole.
Google John Podesta's art and tell me what you think. Or ask Rabbi Finkelstein what they give us to eat. They say that they're not cannibals, have lots of extra meat, so they sell it to McDonald's while they keep the blood to drink. We've barely scratched the surface here, this rabbit hole is deep. The paid body snatchers are MS-13, and many famous actors, they showed us on the screen like Johnny Depp's portrayal inside of Fear and Loathing. Allison Mack simply doubled as the cheese to trap the new girls just to serve them overseas, while Corey Haim was raped on the set by Charlie Sheen. This industry is huge and their market's under siege. It's time to let the curtains fall on all of the elite. Mel Gibson tried to tell us what goes on behind the scenes. The truth is really so much sicker than it seems, and it's time to bring the dark to light so everyone can see it.
I wanna see the babies, tell me where did they go? How is it possible to lose their souls? Gotta be a reason, something we aren't told. It's time to take a trip down the rabbit hole. I wanna see these babies, tell me where did they go? How is it possible to lose their souls? Gotta be a reason, something we aren't told. It's time to take a trip down the rabbit hole.
I appreciate y'all, for real. Thank you. That's really cool. I love y'all. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at all these people walking around because they hear me talking. And it's very real. You're standing inside of a big fucking pentagram right now. Welcome to DC.
Welcome to DC. Free Palestine.
Do we have anyone interested? Hello. Do we have anyone interested in telling a personal story? Oh, Brian Lee has something to say, please.
For tomorrow, anybody wants to help set up this stage for the last day of this event, please be here tomorrow at 9 a.m.
We
Again,
could really
9
use
a.m.
the help.
We could really use the help, so we can actually start at 12 o'clock and at 1:30.
Absolutely, yeah. We started late today because we were shorthanded. So
Yes.
many hands. Yes, Brian and Kathleen put this whole thing together. Thank you very much.
Also, for those that are going to be staying to hear the stories, I want to play a song as well from Crew called Sorry. So that's something that's very dear to me.
Okay.
Crew actually sung this song at the 2017 Million Parent March that we had with Cash Jackson. So I'm going to play his song as well before we close out this evening. Also, before we leave, I need everybody to check around their areas where they were sitting, make sure there is no trash or anything. We do have a couple trash cans down there, so you can throw away the trash.
And we got some stuff here on the lawn. Anybody just look around like he asked.
Exactly. We want to leave this place cleaner than what we found it and what we came to see. So thank you, guys.
Right. Okay. Right now, I'd like to introduce Susan Cobley. She's going to come up and share some very important information that she's learned relative to her story. It will help many of the people out there listening.
I live in Sarasota, Florida. My grandson was stolen at birth in Clearwater, Florida at the hospital. He was a desirable blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby, actually red-haired. I believe it was a setup with the hospital. We have altered medical records. We have, the baby was taken on mental health records, a misunderstanding. To speed ahead, years later, the assistant state attorney had gotten us the medical records. We went through them. They're made to look like the baby's a stillborn, and they were going to tell us this. There isn't any record of the birth, yet we have the birth certificate. There was also a fake Baker Act, which is where they hold you in a hospital on my daughter. The assistant state attorney told us about that. We went to the probate court, and we found the Baker Act. It was e-filed by the hospital, by a social worker intern. We've reported all these things. The patient wasn't there. To speed it ahead, I'm working with a private investigator firm, and I would recommend it. I've gotten further with them than I have with about 5 or 6 attorneys. They have come to D.C. with me, 3 people, and they've contacted the Department of Health and Human Services, Administration for Children and Families, Department of Justice, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the Senate Help Committee, and the FBI. And all I'm asking is everyone maybe write about your case, write support, keep it maybe to 100 words, 200 words. If you don't want to reveal your case, just maybe if we all start sending emails to who's ever, running the committee there. Yes, and I know they went to the Senate Help Committee. Another committee I heard of today is the Ways and Means. I have also found out during this trip they cannot use your medical records in the court file. They kept putting copies of my daughter's medical records into the court file. Her psychological review, the psychiatric review. They told her that the board-certified doctors were not credible because things were positive. Volunteer GAL's opinion was taken over the court, board-certified doctors. This has to stop people picking on people. This is a human rights violation. It's not just DCF. The hearsay in the court is not allowed in any other court. The notes, lying to people, scaring them, and moving the children around. We were with a family that didn't want to meet us. I was denied placement. They said I needed a stay-at-home study, and I didn't. I finally got it a year later, but we were already in termination of parental rights. So basically, it's a civil rights. All of you, the U.S. is involved. Our civil rights are being violated. Once they get through DCF, it's going to go to other businesses, and it's we're not going to have any children left. So that's all I want to say. We have to get everyone on it, sending letters, emails. Okay, but thank you.
Very wonderful information to hear about private investigators coming alongside, helping us out, identifying all the places that we can go and talk. So, are there any other personal stories that people would like to share? Excellent. April Lee DeMeo. Excellent. Fabulous. Love hearing everything that everyone is experienced and all of the information shared benefits us greatly. Come on up, April.
Hello, everyone. My name is April DeMeo from Pennsylvania. My son was taken from Tioga County, Pennsylvania, and currently I live in Northumberland County. I am a mother who has survived domestic violence, did everything in my power to protect my child, and was punished by a system that claims to protect children, but instead weaponized its architecture against the very families it was built to serve. 4 years ago, approximately, I might be wrong, because of my son's developmental delays and his health issues, he was held back at school a couple of times. He was in a traumatic car accident. His progress had regressed. Later found out that he had a concussion that was explained to me because I have a disability. They said it's like a shaken baby syndrome and something with the frontal lobe. So he went through concussion therapy, and I still don't know how to explain what concussion therapy is to this day. I lost my train of thought. I apologize. He started hitting himself. I sought the medical help immediately while we were waiting to be seen by a man with my attorney on the phone, the car accident attorney on the phone. The gentleman came out of nowhere. He never, because my son was going around me going, and he came out of nowhere and picked up my son and put him up on the wall and started yelling at him. He never introduced me, and he was yelling at him. My attorney turned around and said for me to show his badge and get his name. The gentleman heard, flipped the badge over, put my son down, and he just took off. I left, and I asked him to get permission to go to DuPont Hospital in Delaware, where he previously was for his disabilities and developmental delays. So by the time I got home, as I was pulling in the driveway, the attorney called me. I pushed the speaker on the phone, and I found out that I had approval to go to DuPont. Then I said, well, there's people on my porch. And found out that there was children and youth. He's an accident attorney. He said it was okay for me to allow them to come in. That moment triggered a spiral of government overreach and state-sanctioned harm. They never had a court order. I let them in because I didn't know any better, neither did my attorney, and I didn't know I could say no. From that moment forward, I was stalked, surveilled, manipulated, and coerced. They claimed I threw adult parties. Which I didn't. I lived quietly with my children. They forced me to name my child's abusive father, despite a court order protection from abuse order from previous, and I moved out of county. And a judge who told me not to put his name on the birth certificate. They brought this predator into my home against my will. 2 days later, after he moved into my home, because I did tell the judge it wasn't going to last the second day, he then came and tried to attempt to kill my son. I then shielded my son Daniel with my own body. I have marks, I have bruises, I have all the pictures and video. Instead of commending me for protecting my child, the court used that trauma to take him away. They said I failed to protect him. They said I was delusional based on a 10-minute phone call with a court-paid evaluator who never asked me a single question about me, my child, or my upbringing. They silenced every therapist that supported me, including some doctors. They replaced each one with someone more compliant. They fed my son toxic foods because he is used to making homemade foods due to his medical issues. I, to this day, still do that. And he knew he had to avoid these foods, and he would get consequences if he didn't eat what they made. They made him wear a T-shirt symbolizing adoption, which was huge, went down to his knees, while telling him he wasn't allowed to eat with me or talk to me alone. They erased our bond. My son had begged to come home. He told the judge he was afraid of the foster family multiple times. He was punished for speaking the truth. He asked the judge asked him his 3 wishes. He said he wanted to go home where he is safe, loved, and he wasn't going to be harmed. His second wish was to be home with one of the siblings, which was his sibling, Rosalie. And I don't recall what his third wish was. I apologize about that. This is not child protection. This is, of course, under control of color of law. This is trafficking through forced adoption. The laws were broken, the science was ignored, and the evidence was twisted, and the architecture was weaponized. My son was taken not because I was unfit, but because I was strong enough to survive. The judge violated my ADA rights, the state violated due process, and the system designed to protect children protected itself instead. We are calling for immediate interventions, expert review, and return of my son. We are calling lawmakers, journalists, and human rights activists to expose and dismantle this failed architecture. Because the truth is simple. You cannot call it justice if it punishes protection. You cannot call it child welfare if it erases a child's voice. And you cannot call it law if it violates the very rights to claim it to uphold. Thank you.
Thank you, April. Thank you very much. Do we have any other personal stories people would like to share? It's starting to cool off here. It's still way warmer than it was yesterday. All right, we're going to start closing up and packing up here. If anybody would like to help, close up chairs, fold up tables, we'd really appreciate it. Since we have... Yeah, absolutely. Melina would like to say something.
Okay, so update. We are being heard. Yay! Okay, so here's an update. A couple years ago, I met John Ossoff. Went to his office, hounded him. The aides were looking at me kind of hoo-hoo. Like, who are you busting up in here? As Miss Terry said, I will bust up in anywhere because y'all messing with my kids. Mama Bear. I'll take my anxiety and use it for God's will. So I bust up in there, and she's like, if you just kind of hang around a few more minutes, he might be coming out. So I hounded him down. I got a little meet and greet with him one time. Mostly talked to the aides, which, again, do not discount these aides. Some of these aides are your gateways to getting these bills and these laws passed. So love your aides in a good way. In a good way. So anyway, working with these people, and I did name drop, didn't I? Ooh, well, you can find it. So it's not a name drop. It's in there. So anyway, I told him the story about, I have my oldest child is 36. My youngest child that's living is 17. Those children want to know what happened to them. They want to know what happened to their records when they spoke, the investigator that they talked to, the body searches, and all that. Guess what? None of that's recorded. Most all my court stuff is not recorded. So I have been fighting for over 30 years for mandatory recordings. And my colleagues here can tell you that's been my platform. Record, record, record. Record, record, record. Well, guess what? This senator went, of course, and he had to find other stories in his own state. But he did, because he's an investigator. Found some stories, and unfortunately one of them was tragic. So we have Gracie's Act that just hit in December on the slate. Now, is it a perfect bill? No. So we need to meet with our representatives to encourage them to kind of tweak the language a little bit, but let's get it in there. That means any investigator, any documentation, anytime that someone's questioning you or your children, that needs to be body cam recorded, video, audio, tapes, recording. Because why? Children grow up if please Lord, some don't. But there are cases that are here today and they've been here all week that they don't have their children. And they're still being treated like the bad guy. But had that been recorded, at least they could carry on and fight, saying, this is what my child said. This is what really happened. This is who said what and who lied, you know. And for those that are fighting for your children right now, record where you can. And if we get this act passed, and again, there's some tweaking in it that we need to do. I just did over it today, just a little bit. But we have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. Because I think once we start having it to say, hey, that caseworker just lied on me. It's my word against that caseworker, right? But when we say they lied on me, but wait a minute, let's pull the body cam, right? Let's pull the body cam. Let's pull the recording. Let's pull the audio, right? And when we do that, with a family advocate by your side, whoop, whoop, still promoting these guys. Woohoo! All right, so when you're doing that with that, there you go. Children will be less removed when somebody knows that they're on camera, right? Woo! So protect our children. Look into Gracie's Act. See your representatives. Start talking about it because it's already been read in December. But we need to make one little tweak where parents do actually have access to that information when necessary. So that is a tweak that I would be recommending. And I am recommending because I want my kids, I want to have documentation. I want my children to have that documentation the moment that they hit legal age to see their documents. So, again, thank you. I want to give a shout out that we are being heard. There are representatives out there that are hearing us. Keep knocking on the doors. Keep showing up. Oh, and another suggestion, you don't got to be in D.C. to see these people. Call the staff. Ask for a Zoom meeting. You can do it. Then you can have 10 and 20 people from all over the country on there. See them at their office at home. I was told today by 3 representatives because of what was going on this morning, some kind of threat, that we got locked out for 2 hours. That's 2 hours of my time that I came to D.C. But guess what? My representative is in my state more than he's here. So why we come here. It's great. But go there. Do Zooms. Find out who the gatekeeper at the front desk is when you make that call. And you make that appointment. And you keep making that appointment. Get emails. Get family advocates. Change laws. Change bills. Do your thing.
All right, Brian's going to play us a sweet song to clean up by. Thank you for those that are helping. We really appreciate it. Take it away, Brian.
Representation of the people, I'm here to deliver this message. Our purpose for this stand, no matter how small or great, regardless of what supporting turnout shall be, is to better the lives of the innocent, the children, who are too young to advocate for themselves and should not have to suffer the anguish and confusion, nor fall victim to theft of their inalienable right to proper emotional development. We are the people, the driving force behind our city's economic stability through honest hard work. We are your postal service, your plumbers, your teachers. We are your grocery workers, farmers, and emergency response services. We are your tradesmen and women alike. We are your voters. We are not criminals or violent offenders. We are parents who only seek justice through your actions, that all are created equal, and the pursuit of happiness that is endowed through the responsibility of being a parent should no longer be a pursuit. For the perpetual rulings that have taken place in both this county and state have been supported by legislation that violates our 5th and 14th Amendments habitually through lack of an opportunity to contest the appropriateness of such orders. This political acceptance has created unjust, long-term outcomes that have resulted in the deprivation of any interest in liberty or property without due process. These government actions have greatly affected the happiness of our children and the safety of our society. The psychological destruction of our communities and social structure has given us no choice other than to unite in a peaceful demand of the alteration of both state and local definition and jurisdiction of both domestic violence and limitations of rights to visitation. We demand, following the conception of a child, regardless of the production of marriage or not, that both parents shall immediately be designated as having the right to equal time, unless one parent can produce, without reasonable doubt, why these parental rights should be modified. We demand that no one parent be able to deny the opposite of that right, and that any such denial of a child shall be unlawful. We demand that both local and state governments will pursue conviction and reasonable consequence of any such act only after putting the best interest of the child first. We look forward to hearing your response. This is the Crew Movement, a stand for fathers' rights. And this message is a message for equal parenting rights for all parents in all states and all jurisdictions. I want you to imagine for a minute. Imagine a life that led you to a dream. Then, what once was a dream turned into a passion. Imagine that passion getting you so close to your dream, you can taste it. But then life gives you something even better than that dream. Then imagine a broken system that takes away the most important aspect of your life. What do you do then? I don't know about you, but I'm gonna take that passion and take that dream and use it to remove every single irrational and incompetent mind that did this. I'm gonna do it for something better. And to all those who did this, I suggest you remember me.
King County Superior Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Amini presiding.
Good morning, everyone. Please all be seated. This is King County cause number 14-3-04-395-7. K&T designation.
It don't make sense if the kids fall victim, trapped in the fine lines of the court system. My 2-year-old was stripped from my arms, restrained completely and given to a mom. And there wasn't even one cat call, no violent reports at all. But they hit me with a DV charge, civil court, no arrest, yet I took the fall. Tell me now how any of this is okay. Dad's right there, suddenly he goes away. How's a toddler gonna comprehend that? How's a mom's not gonna condemn that? And all I ever asked for was equal time, but the judge looked at me like my daughter ain't mine. Ripped me apart no matter how hard I try. Over and over, trust me, it ain't right. Sorry that I'm not there. It's not that I don't care, but your moms won't let me. One day I know you'll see. And with lies written about me, when you need me, I'll be right here, right here, right here. Sorry that I'm not there. It's not that I don't care, but your moms won't let me. One day I know you'll see. It was lies written about me. When you need me, I'll be right here, right here, right here. We all wanna fight for the equal rights put in the media's light, but people just don't see what I'm talking about here really ain't just me. We in 2015, not 83. Ask any professional what the babies need. That's a mom's and a dad, not just half of that. And it looks to me like we're lacking that, cause the system is biased and that's a fact. Judge Susan Amini didn't believe me out here in King County. My daughter's without me. When a mom wants to take a kid, it's that easy. Ex parte and there's no peace treaty. Christine Robinson was the bailiff involved. Looked at me like this is all my fault. Delayed my time on a 5-day trial. Gave me 2 days, said I would be fine though. Tell me now how they rush this process. The statistics expose this nonsense. 85% in favor of the mom. How can a working man try those odds? Fight for my time, how am I wrong? Stood for my rights, it cost me it all. Held my ground now for my daughter. Show me the evidence why I can't be a father. Sorry that I'm not there. It's not that I don't care, but your moms won't let me. One day I know you'll see. It was lies written about me. When you need me, I'll be right here, right here, right here. Sorry that I'm not there. It's not that I don't care, but your moms won't let me. One day I know you'll see. It was lies written about me. When you need me, I'll be right here, right here, right here.
Order establishing residential scheduled parenting plan child support has a restraining order, and that continues for a year from today. The court has some requirements for you to do, and that is that you complete the domestic violence offender treatment program, and you set up a direct reporting by the treatment provider agency to provide monthly reports from the agency directly to the mother and to the legal file under seal. You also will complete a mental health assessment at the state certified agency, report to the mother, and file a copy to the legal file under seal.
There was a parenting plan that did not accuse of any domestic violence. I was not educated on domestic violence prior to coming into this court. My assumption was this particular situation, this court, is for the best interest of the child. I've now found a document that I was never served. This is coming from the petitioner, who failed to confirm on 3 different occasions, was found to be intransigent, has withheld the child without good cause after I entered a parenting plan in good faith. At this point, all I am trying to do is comply with the court, put my best foot forward to do everything that this court has asked to the best of my financial and physical ability, and to see my daughter, who I have not seen in 159 days.
Aria, come here real quick. Daddy wants to say goodbye to you. Aria, just real fast.